Hi, I'm Amanda Mikulev, and thank you for joining us today on the Fitness Mindset Podcast. Each episode, I'll bring on guests that will discuss topics encompassing all things fitness, nutrition, mindset related, and even at times relationship stuff too. This show is sponsored by Kyani and the Triangle of Health, the only whole food supplementation system I take, which fuels my day to achieve both fitness and task-orientated goals. Make sure you subscribe now to be the first to know when a new episode has been released. Enjoy this week's episode.
Guys, welcome back to the Fitness Mindset Podcast. This is episode number 40, the Big 40. It's a milestone in the podcast. And I'm joined here with the lovely Rebecca Wilson all the way in the States. She's an Aussie though, so don't get confused by the accent. And Rebecca started following me online a little while ago. I reached out, we had a chat, and we're here to talk about her as a medical intuitive. So if you've been following me for a little while, you've seen that I've brought some spiritual guests on my Instagram lives and stuff like that. This is a little bit different, but kind of similar in a way. Rebecca, tell us your story. It's very interesting. We've had a conversation on the DMs and I'm super intrigued.
Okay. So I guess my whole life, I always felt like I was searching for something, but I didn't know what it was. And I did a lot around nutrition. I was a very strange child. Whenever anybody asked me what I wanted to eat, it would always be like a salad. I always wanted to have a salad. I always had to have vegetables. And so I was very obsessed about nutrition. The problem was I kind of felt like got around my probably early 20s, and I had these stomach problems. And I ate the most perfect diet. I was doing spinach and beetroot juice for breakfast and like organic foods, but the stomach problems just wouldn't go away. I went into interior design. So I really loved interior design, but for me, it was always about whatever it was in my life. It was always about the energy of something. It was like eating better to have more energy, changing the room around to have a better energy. But I never put all the pieces of the puzzle together. And then it wasn't until I read the book From Dark to Light, which was written by an Australian, Belinda Davidson. Mm-hmm. And this book explained about our chakra, about our energy anatomy, about how emotions and suppressed emotions and how that affects us physically. Yeah. And this blew my mind. It changed the complete trajectory of my life. And it was the last piece of the puzzle I'd been searching for. And I told you this, normally it takes me about 6 months to read a book. I read it in 24 hours. I literally shut the door, couldn't put it down. And I felt like for the first time in my life, everything made sense. I've always been super curious. So I was kind of like, why do I have these friends who are like super healthy, super in love, and they can't have a baby? Why do I see these people who have all the money, all the fame, and they're popping antidepressants? Why is there some guy sitting on a hill with a shaved head and he's like just totally at peace with himself? And I was like, what is going on here? And when I started to learn about our energy and our energy anatomy and about the chakra systems and the way that they hold blockages and traumas and about past lives. So when past lives came into it, that just opened up a whole new can of worms. And the way all of these things start to influence, then it totally made sense why some people struggle in some areas of their life. Some people can come from a really hard upbringing and be super successful and super happy. Some people can come from an amazing family and they end up doing drugs and they're just totally lost in the world. And so this kind of all started to make sense. And I always felt like nutrition was one way to help people, but I just always felt like I was just hitting a glass ceiling. And so it turns out that the stomach pains for me were me always suppressing my emotions, because we know in Australia it's always like, yeah, good on you, mate. Everything will be okay.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it. Just
yeah,
kind of push it to the side.
yeah.
And in Australia, we actually have a lot of fillers. So, you can go to the beach and kind of forget about it. You can go down to the bar and you can forget about it. You can go and have a coffee, you can go shopping and just forget about it.
Oh.
But I'd forgotten about it one too many times, and my body just said no more. So I'm actually living in Germany, not America.
Oh,
And
why did I think America?
yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
That's a major stuff up. That's okay. We're not perfect. That's all right.
That's what makes you beautiful.
Yeah, you know what? Flaws and all, baby. Anyway, the journey. What time is it over there?
So it's 8 o'clock in the morning.
There we go. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon here. So hence her ball gown outfit at 8 in the morning.
The first thing I always do is put makeup on every day. It's like my meditation. Okay, first I meditate, and then putting makeup on is a second meditation. And then you're like, let's put the camera on. I was like, is she joking?
Nah, all good.
This is me being vulnerable and
Okay.
okay with myself.
It's the content that matters. I've literally just come from the pool, so I haven't even prepped my beautiful. And I don't try to, even for the podcast, I don't really try to have this beautiful, perfect hair and makeup. I just don't. Sometimes I do, and I think I still don't look glamorous. So, you know what? I'm not going to try so hard. It's all good. It's the content that matters. And I'm really excited for what you're about to talk about. Just from what you've already spoken about, I'm already like fired up. So, so the energy field holds onto trauma.
Oh, our past, our present, every thought we've ever had, every emotion we've ever experienced is actually in your aura. And so when you go to a psychic or when you come to me, that's what I'm reading. I'm reading the energy information. Probably the best way I can explain what I do is to give you an example. And when somebody comes to me, they'll have like an ailment. It might be a physical ailment. It might be that they have a pattern in their life. And so a pattern keeps happening in our life when there's something that we need to heal in ourselves. So, a pattern when you are saying, this always happens to me. People always treat me bad. I always have the worst luck. Okay, boom. That's a pattern. And this is when it's okay to be the victim for 5 minutes, but then you need to get curious. You need to get your Sherlock Holmes hat on and say, okay, this always happens to me, but actually it's happening for me.
Yeah.
What's in my subconscious? What is in my energy field that is drawing these situations into my life that's saying, okay, I'm ready to be healed? And I'll give you an example. I had a girl and she basically said, I'm always doing what everybody else wants me to do, and just wasn't really in her power. And a lot of the times, a lot of addictions to smoking, to drugs, to shopping, this happens because we decided to give our power away at a young age. And so I'll connect with the person and then I will say to them, when is the first time you can remember giving your power away? And a situation will come to their mind straight away. And so for this for one of my clients, and I asked her if I could discuss this, she's like, I don't know. And I said, okay, let me have a look. And I said, okay, I see you sitting in the schoolyard and you've just opened your lunchbox and this girl's walking over and she's like this, give it to me. And she's, oh my God.
Psychic? Are you, like, do you get visions with people? What is your qualification, Rebecca?
So what happens, so I'm a trained medical intuitive. I'm trained in Reiki. I'm a trained advanced pranic healer, but we are all intuitive.
Yep.
We are all born this way. But you can thank society, the school system, the church for kind of knocking that out of us.
For sure.
So everybody has this gift. It's innate within all of us. It's our survival mechanism. And when somebody calls me, because I do everything online, I will ask them for their permission to connect to their energy field. And I am actually more clairvoyant, so I will see images. So my guides, I work together with spirit guides. I have a medical intuitive team. I have healing guides. I have past life guides, and they come in and they feed me the information. Yeah.
Could you,
so
just for the podcast, out of curiosity, because now my ears have pricked up even more. I love you that much more now, Rebecca. Do you reckon you could pick anything up on this podcast with me for the viewers?
Okay. Wait, I have to change gears.
Doesn't have to be right now. We can come back to it.
Okay.
Maybe we can save it to the end of the podcast, and then it's going to really force everyone to watch the end now. So,
Okay.
so it gives everyone a bit of an incentive, because I'm curious.
You know what we could do is we could do a whole session together.
We can. Let's just see how good you are first.
Okay.
Gotta love it. If
Sounds
you can
good.
wow me with a couple of things, I'll be like, yep. All right, let's do a set. 100%.
All right, cool. Yeah, so the information for me will mostly come in visually, and it will come in often quite symbolically. Sure. It just kind of depends. So I will ask for what the root cause is, and there's like 7 different places where it can start. So it can start in our childhood, it can be past life, it can be relationships, it can be medicine, it can be curses. Often we've cursed ourselves. So it's kind of finding out where the starting point is for that, and then going in and healing that, because it's then it's in our unconscious. And as you know, our conscious has 5% control over what happens in our life, and our subconscious has 95%. And so, yeah, you can get into the conscious when you set your alarm on your mobile phone every 10 minutes. Just check in what you're thinking. That's your conscious. The only way to get into your subconscious is to observe what's going on in your life. And when you start to pay attention and get really fucking honest with yourself, then you can start to know what's happening in your subconscious.
Amazing. So how long have you been doing this for now?
So I think I started, I will honestly say that I read the book from Belinda Davidson. It must be in 2018. And Amazon just became my best friend. Any book on spirituality, on quantum physics, on energy anatomy, whatever it was just, I was inhaling every bit of information.
Yep.
And I wanted to be a medical intuitive, but I thought you had to be born that way. I thought you had to be born psychic. And at the time, I didn't know that everybody's born psychic.
Yep.
And everybody's born a medical intuitive. Some people have that in them and it gets stronger. But when you're 6, normally we start to lose our intuitive abilities.
Yeah.
And so I started doing the Reiki.
So sorry to cut you off, but going back to that situation with that girl, how you said about the schoolyard lunchbox, a kid came up to her and said that. What came of that session with her?
Okay. So what happens is when we experience something traumatic in our life, the conscious takes in as much as it can. And a trauma is when we have a sensory overload. So when you have your computer and you start clicking and you want to open every screen, all of a sudden the computer just shuts down. It goes blank.
Yeah.
And that's what happens to us as humans. And so it goes down into the subconscious because the conscious says, I can't deal with this at the moment. And basically it stays there until we resolve that. And you have your soul fragments. So because of the trauma, because of her giving her power away, there was a soul fragment still in this moment. So we have to do a soul retrieval and go and get that soul fragment back and heal that past life moment. That's very quantum physics. Probably can't get there with the mind. But also when we experience a trauma and we haven't healed that, we are reliving that trauma every single day. Every day.
Yeah.
Until it's, and this is why we keep bringing in situations, we keep drawing that in because it's you have a resonance with that, but it will get louder and louder and louder. And, Australians are pretty tough. We will put up with a lot of shit before we're ready to deal with that.
Yep.
Yeah. And you kind of have to just be like, okay, what is the universe wanting to show me? What needs to be healed? Let's get in there and let's resolve that. So it's working on the subconscious and also healing the past in order to release that.
So how do you work with someone's subconscious then?
How do I work with someone subconsciously? Good question. After we find out what the root cause is, I have a team of healing angels, and I will call them in, and they will give me the best method to heal that particular situation. So I don't know if you've heard of dowsing.
No.
With like the pendulum.
The pendulum?
Yeah.
No.
So maybe
no.
So maybe I'll need to like scramble the limiting belief. It might be to do a soul retrieval to heal that. Normally, if it's to do with like giving our power away, we'll have to do some work on the solar plexus chakra, because that's all about who am I? I know who I am, I know what I am, and I know why I'm here. So it's just like intuitively the problem will come to me, or the blockage, and intuitively the healing method will come as well. So it's very individual for everybody. I mean, my guides might even say, you know what, they need to get a hula hoop out and they need to start like moving around to get the energy in here. It might be they need to go and walk on the grass with no shoes on.
Yeah.
We kind of think that it has to be so difficult and so hard to heal ourselves, but healing is really about bringing us back into balance. And maybe you do that with food, maybe you do that with meditating, maybe you do that with dancing, maybe you need to go and get a haircut. Whatever it is, it's like your journey and your body, and you coming back into balance is going to be so different to somebody else needing to come back into balance.
And so when you had stomach issues and you could never work out what was going on, did you get to the bottom of your issue?
Yeah, so my issues were that I'd always suppressed my feelings.
Yeah.
And I had 2 children. We had a coffee shop. I was getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was going to work at 4 o'clock. I had a bed and breakfast. I would leave the coffee shop. I would go to the bed and breakfast. I would pick my kids up for school. I was burnt out.
Yeah.
I was depressed as fuck. Do you think I told anybody?
Right.
Do you think I said that? And so it was like,
making sense.
there was like, yeah. And so like there was this shame around like, oh, I'm not Superwoman. Oh, I'm not the girl that everybody is used to saying, oh my God, how does she do it all? And that for me felt like a failure. I felt like the biggest failure. And then my husband was like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. You know, I was having 3 hours sleep. My eye was twitching. I had affection on my finger that wasn't going away. And I'm still telling everybody I'm fine. And
kidding yourself that more is more when less is actually more.
Totally. So when I started to recognize that, and then I started to get my voice back, I started to speak my truth. And when I started to speak my truth, my stomach problems just went away. When I started to express my emotions, when I started to meditate. And so it was like no amount of healthy eating and no amount of positive affirmations were going to get rid of that.
Yeah, you know, in my 20s, I had a stomach issue. I had constant pain in my gut. And I had a scan, I think it was a scan or a laparoscopy or something, and it was like a benign sac of something, right? Sac of fluid. And then when I had it checked up again, they said it had pretty much disappeared. But I must have taken a turning point in my life, because I used to suffer depression and anxiety in my late teens, early 20s. I had sort of abandonment issues with my folks. There's a whole range of issues there, sort of growing up, trying to find my place in the family and just always being treated a little bit differently. So I was walking around with this internal anxiety a lot of the time. And like yourself, I sort of became I sort of spoke with a lot more conviction as I got older. And I noticed that my family liked me less and less as a result of that, I think, or couldn't just appreciate that I took myself. I basically rehabbed myself out of my own depression and anxiety and lived my best life. And they could never really say, well done, for actually speaking out, for actually turning your life around, for doing a good thing for yourself. I think it's expected from a lot of, especially European families. I don't know about you, but I think it's expected that you'll get to a certain age and you'll be unwell. But for me, I'm like, no, I want to be 70 and still walking on the beach, exercising. And a lot of that comes back to doing the self-care, eating well, speaking your truth, watching your energy, because we hold on to things and our body tenses up, and that's from stress, then becomes cancer, then becomes every other issue under the sun. And when things become unexplainable, well, then the unexplainable is generally the thing that we're not explaining, verbally not explaining, verbally not expressing. So I think if a lot of people spoke their truth more, there'd be a lot less sick people in the world. What do you think?
100%. And it goes back, there's a lot of based around what you just said. A lot of people aren't willing to speak their truth. They're not willing to step in their light because it makes their family uncomfortable. You will not believe how many clients I had last year that said, I really want to do this, but I know when I'm successful, it's going to make my family uncomfortable. And I said, okay, this is the spinach in the teeth scenario. Nobody wants to know that they have spinach in their teeth, but you are the one telling them. So you're doing them a favor, because as you start to be more authentic, as you start to speak your truth, your aura starts to grow and you start to expand. And as you start to expand, you trigger everybody around you, because your light is bright, shining so bright, it starts to hit their shadows. And their shadows are, oh, I never spoke my truth. And instead of them like high-fiving you for like showing them their shadows, they're like, oh, she thinks she's too good. Oh, she's like so in her ego. Oh, she's so like, and them speaking like that is them being uncomfortable that they're not in their truth and they're not in their alignment. Because when you're in your alignment, when you are doing what you love, you can just like celebrate everybody around you.
Yeah.
You can really like empower people and be so grateful for them. And when somebody triggers you, you're like, oh God, that made me so a little bit jealous, or that made me uncomfortable. Thank you for showing me that about myself.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the level of consciousness for that, they will do anything they can to bring you down. So huge theme at the moment for the last couple of years. We've got a lot of ancestral trauma coming up. We've got a lot of mother-daughter wound healing coming up. So
give me
very interesting.
What can you get from my aura, my energy being?
Okay, wait a minute.
Tune in.
I have to tune in, and I just will call in some guides to create a beautiful protective space around us. And what I'm going to get you to do is just take a deep breath all the way into your stomach and exhale like you're blowing out candles on a birthday cake. Again, take a deep breath in and exhale. And just say your name and your date of birth. And when you do that, I'm going to connect with your energy field.
So Amanda Mikulev, 16th of July, 1985.
So the first image that your guides give to me, your energy is that of like Xena warrior. I haven't thought about this woman for years. I think she used to be on prime television.
Yes.
But you are So you're a Xena warrior and you just have all these people coming at you and you're just like slaying them.
Yes, I love
with your, this is your energy. It's like you're the feminine, but you're the masculine combined. And yeah, you're very much on a huge mission in this life. Let me go through your chakras and see what comes up with them, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is interesting. So what comes in with your root chakra, it's like when there's a drought and it rains and the water can't get into the earth because it's so dry. And so our root chakra is very much about security. It's about feeling good in the world. It's about our tribe. It's about our family. And so your soul, it feels like your soul is like the water and it wants to like start to ground itself and to root itself. But there's just this resistance there. To allow that to happen. Does that make sense?
As in to kind of get back to hard work?
No, it's in like, it's like it's showing up like it's dry, but it's what's interesting is you have like this, like two elements. You have like the wet and the dry. So it comes in like, it's almost like you are, for a lot of people, a contradiction. It's like sometimes it's like you have this really soft heart, this aura, and you can really make people feel welcome, but you can really like do the opposite to people as well.
Look, like if I want to, and I don't sort of entertain that side of me. If I really want to intimidate someone, I can.
Yeah.
Very much like Xena. I do have that male and female balance in my energy. If I need to negotiate a business deal, I can negotiate a person, no problem. If I need to talk like a baby to my cat, to tell him how much I love him, I can. And children, for example, I'm very good with kids. Yes, I can be soft and I can also be extremely hard if I need to be. So,
but this is beautiful. This is the contradiction is the beauty about you, and it's the magic about you. And it's a big problem that a lot of people have is we're one extreme or the other. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Tao Te Ching, but it's about being in balance. And when you're in balance and when you can like bring those two qualities into harmony, that's when your life will just start to move with ease and grace.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the contradiction that's showing up. It's like you can kind of swing the pendulum quite hard. And it's and this is the water and the earth. It's like you have both the qualities, but okay, this is what they're telling me now. But now for you, your next step is to merge them more into each other. So not to be one or the other, but to kind of let them integrate together. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, because for me, I act a lot on emotion as well. So if someone's pissed me off, I'll inadvertently express that somehow online to get the message across. Because for me, once upon a time, I didn't speak my truth and I got very unwell mentally. So now I make sure that on a daily basis, whether that's through art or talking or writing or drawing, that I have to express myself to get it out of me because I don't want my body to hold that stress, right? So, and sometimes it's like I act impulsively and I think I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have said that, or I could have said this a bit better, but because I have such a loyal following, I'll get a lot of good on you, well done. And I think it's okay. But then what I've done is I've hurt the person it's about. And it's like, maybe I could have done this in a different way where it was less abrasive. So I can be like steel wool and really hurt, really scratch someone with my words. if someone hurts me, because I'm quite soft. I'm mush deep down. So instead of crying about something, I'll be like, right, I'm going to fuck you up in this way. and I kind of want to like go, right, how can I, So any suggestions around how to blend the two together?
Absolutely. The thing is to start observing your feelings, and instead of saying, I am pissed off, then you're making yourself pissed off. You're making that a part of you. So what would be beneficial for you is to say the feelings of being pissed off are moving through me. And what's the first thing we do when we're pissed off, when we're sad, when we're angry? We start to do something, because we as humans have never been taught how to allow emotions to move through us.
And to just
yeah.
I'm reading a really good book at the moment. It's by Jay Shetty, How to Live Like a Monk. And
oh yeah, love that.
He actually said the exact same thing that you've just mentioned, is that rather than saying I am something, I feel something. So rather you're allowed to feel those emotions, but you don't become those emotions. So you can let it move through you. It's pretty much what you've just said.
Yeah, and this is huge learning. Like when you have been dumped, or when somebody said something that upset you, the first thing, you get on the phone and you call and you want everybody's opinion and you want to be right and you want to make them wrong and blah, blah, blah. And you just like create this huge big boulder. And this is why the visual of the drought and the water came up, because it's about you, exactly what you're asking. How can I merge those two together? And so it's acknowledging that they've triggered you, acknowledging that they've that the energy of being pissed off is moving through you. And the feminine is being able to sit there and to nurture that. So nurture this feeling the way you would nurture the cat. Nurture this feeling the way you would nurture your best friend. And the thing is, when this feeling of uncomfortable, we just kind of clench in on it, and then we start to distract ourselves some way. So just imagine next time the feeling of being pissed off is the same as if your cat was pissed off, and just be like, and then you can connect with it and say, oh, that's interesting. The feeling of being pissed off is moving through me. Whoa, I've never had to sit with that before. Okay, where is it? And just have like this open dialogue with it. Okay, if it was a color, what color would it be? And you can even write this down. When we start to connect with our emotions and be more aware of our emotions and start to acknowledge them, we're not going to start to fear them as much. And then we can live more freer, because it's like, okay, maybe this will make me sad, but whatever, I know how to like let sadness move through my body. You will literally feel it in your stomach, in your heart, wherever. Ask it. Okay, I see that you're there. I allow that you're there. What is it you want to tell me? It will tell you. You will be so freaking surprised. Don't think that you know the answer. Just allow whatever pops like popcorn. That's your intuition. Yep. That's your emotion speaking with you. It's a thing. Then say to it, okay, what do you need from me? You might see yourself dancing. You might see yourself going for a run. You might see yourself just doing breath work and blowing it out. And then when you feel like it's left your body, just ask, have you completely left my body? You'll get a yes or a no. It'll come like a visual. If you're clairaudient, it will be like you'll hear it in your mind. You might even feel it in your body. Your body will just feel lighter. And just have this open dialogue with your emotions, because I don't know what it was like for anybody else. I just know in our generation it was stop crying. You have nothing to be sad about. Yep. Don't be silly. There's nothing there. You don't need to be scared. It was never like, oh, you're feeling sad. We never had this space to experience our emotions. And I actually went to the gynecologist for a checkup after like 8 years.
Yep.
And she found 2 cysts. They were both 1 centimeter. And I asked her, like, why are they there? She goes, I don't know, just because they're there. And I said, the body just doesn't do things because it feels like it. There has to be a reason. And she just said, look, get out of here with your energy bullshit. I don't want to hear it. I've got like a whole, I'm booked out for today. And I was like, what? She just said, just come back in a month and we'll check it again. So in this whole month, I like did all this womb work, and I got into womb healing. And I started getting like really involved in like the female reproductive area. And I just was like, oh my God, how could I be so far away from all of this? And I went back and I asked her, can you just do an ultrasound? Can you check it again? And she goes, I don't have time. And I said, please, like I've done so much womb healing and I'm sure it's like completely gone. So she checked it and she's like, it's not gone. It's 7 centimeters. She said, you need to go and get an operation immediately. And I was like, what? That can't be. Like, you don't know how much womb healing I've done this month. And she said, I don't care about your energy work. She goes, you need to go and get an operation tomorrow. And I was like, okay, give me a week. And so I went to the hospital that they referred me to. They did another ultrasound. The cyst came up again, 7 centimeters. And I booked the operation for 1 week later because I was so curious what my body was trying to tell me.
Yep.
And you'll be so surprised what happens to us. We think as adults has no effect on us or little effect, and it has like this huge domino effect. So I went into the cyst and I said, what do you want to tell me? And the energy signature in the cyst was betrayal. And if anything's happening on the left side of our body, it has to do with a female in our life or with female characteristics.
Yep.
And if it's on the right side, it has to do with male and male characteristics.
Yep.
So the first person that came into my head was my grandmother from my mother's side, who I loved. And when I was 6, she passed away. And so that I could look strong to everybody in my family, I didn't cry. It was so important for me, for my family, to say, oh my God, you're so strong. I needed this external validation from them.
Sure.
And this pain was in my cyst, and I felt betrayed because it was really the one person that I felt like I could trust in my life and I loved, and I felt like she betrayed me by dying. So that was the first. So I went in and I did a soul retrieval and I healed that. And then the second situation that came in, which was a huge shock to me, was my grandfather from my father's side had sexually abused me.
Right.
And obviously I'd done so much healing around this, like from every side. So when the situation came back in my head, I was like, why are we here again? Like, what did I miss? And there was one particular situation they came to visit, and I was in the room with my grandfather and my grandmother. And he told my grandmother, my other grandmother, okay, can you leave the room? I need to talk to Rebecca. And so she left me there with him. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah. So I had to go in and heal this. Yeah. And so I went in and I healed that. And then we all kind of have this, and our mums, our family members are always doing the best. So it's no disrespect, but we have like this mother wound. We all have it.
Yep.
And so there was some stuff that I needed to kind of heal around that as well.
Incredible.
So
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the operation was on the Tuesday, and they weren't going to do another ultrasound before the operation. So I had to organize another ultrasound at another gynecologist.
Just to be
and
sure.
It was such a big hoo-ha to get in there. And I got in there and she goes, why are you here? And then I told her the whole story, and she just looked at me as if to say, you're wasting my time. And then she checked on the right side. She said, there's nothing there. And I said, okay. And then she checked on the left and she said, there's nothing there. And do you think she asked me what I did?
No, because it challenged her education. So when things can't be explained because they're all about the science and this and that, they don't want a bar of it. And they don't want to admit that they've misdiagnosed you, because they can't diagnose what they don't understand. And I guarantee all of people's problems, cancers, stress, the whole lot, could be solved if they just got to the energetic root of the issue. And now that you've told me this story, there's someone I need you to speak to about this as well. So we'll have an off-camera chat about that. But this person's basically at the end of their tether with their health. And I've always felt spiritually that no amount of treatment with medication is actually going to fix what's wrong. There's a lot of things that have happened to this person, traumas and things like that. And I wholeheartedly believe that if they speak to you, they'll get the answer they're looking for.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that's what I'm really about, because I spent so many years at doctors and I just left so frustrated. And when I say why, they start projecting, they start gaslighting. They always want to remove the symptom. And it's, if you take your car to the mechanic because the petrol light's on and say the petrol light's on, a doctor, the equivalent of the doctor would be to turn the petrol light off. The car still freaking needs petrol. So it's like we always, our body, anytime we have something going on in our body, it's not to be judged. Our body is saying, this needs to change. I need you to know about this. I need you to resolve this. Our body is communicating to us through symptoms. So you have like your higher self, you have your brain, and you have your soul, and you have your physical body. And our higher self sends messages through our body sensations. It's just, if we have like cancer, it's like Siri saying, go left here. It's a message. And I had a guy, he came to me, he had been to doctors for 50 years in America, in Germany, could not find the problem, and always on medication. And he's like an investment banker, total left brain. So he came to me and goes, I don't believe in anything you do. And I said, that's fine. I don't need you to anyway. And he said, I said, well, why are you here then? He said, well, I'm curious. I said, okay, well, let's have a look. And when I connected with his energy field, the first thing that I saw was him in medieval times getting his stomach cut open, and they were pulling out his intestines.
Wow.
And I told him that, and he goes, I hate the movie Braveheart, and I've always been interested in torture. And he said, there's this place in London, and like as I'm walking over the hill, every time I went there, I felt like I needed to vomit. And I said, that's where it happened. He said, that makes no sense whatsoever, but it makes perfect sense. And so we went in and we healed that. And he called me like 3 months later. He said, I feel better. I can't believe it. So it can be past life. It can be childhood. It can be, we also have non-physical entities among us. I know it's a bit of a controversial topic, something you have to experience for yourself probably before you believe it. But there's just so much more than what we see. And if you're kind of a bit blind to that, then, you know, stay in your cave. But don't forget that we are on a ball in the middle of a galaxy, just kind of spinning around.
Absolutely. Rebecca, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I think we're going to wrap it up there. But I want people to get in touch with you so they can speak to you and hopefully get healing with you. So how can they best reach out to you?
So I'm on Instagram at medical intuitive, medical_intuitive.
Yep.
And I actually have just put in for all Australians listening to your show a 20% discount.
Fantastic.
So they can just use the code SURF.
SURF, SURF.
Yes.
Done. I'll link that in the description below, guys. So make sure that you reach out to Rebecca. Beck, last parting words before we stop the recording.
Last parting words, you are all intuitive. You are all beautiful, magical beings. You're all deserving of an amazing life. And I just want to send much love and know that you can heal yourself. Your body is so intelligent and it has the power to do that.
If you want to be featured on my Instagram, please take a screenshot of this week's episode and tag @amanda.m.micallef on your Instagram stories. For all coaching, Kyani and public speaking inquiries, please see the description below. And if you want to learn more about today's guest, their details will be in the description below also. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and comment your feedback below. All feedback is welcome to help us improve this podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode.